In this video, I'm going to give you my review of my 2017 YT Jeffsy. After 11 months of ownership and almost 900 miles of riding, everything from these flat XC trails around Dallas to bike parks. I'm going to tell you what I like about the bike, what I don't like about it, and give you a rating from 1 to 5 for appearance, quality, performance, and the overall. Now this is the CF One model. It's now called the CF model, but it's got the Pike RCT3, the Monarch RT3, Guide RS brakes, SRAM X1 derailleur, race face components in E13 wheels and hubs. So let's start with what I like. Number one, the main reason why I bought this bike was the spec that you get for the price. You've got the top of the line Pike, you've got Guide RSC, SRAM X1 derailleur. You've got some good components here, and I only paid $3,000 for it. It was on sale, but the price for the 2018 model I believe is like $3,500, $3,600. That's still a killer deal. Any bike out there from one of the major brands is gonna run close to $5,000 for the same sort of spec. Second, it's a very capable bike. Like I said, I've ridden everything from XC trails to the bike park, and the Jeffsy has handled it pretty well. It climbs just as well, probably better than my old bike, which was a Specialized Camber, which was an XC bike. And it also descends pretty well. Now I'm sure you'd feel a lot more comfortable on a downhill bike or an enduro bike, especially in the bike park, but the Jeffsy can certainly get the job done. Third, I like the playfulness of the bike. It's pretty snappy in the corners for a 29er. I've ridden some 27.5 bikes. I really can't tell much of a difference between the 27.5 and the 29er. And another thing that I noticed right from the get-go with the Jeffsy is it's a lot easier to jump, at least than my old bike was. So now let's talk about what I don't like about the Jeffsy. Number one, first thing I did when I got the bike is I changed out the saddle. The stock saddle is terrible, but that's not really a deal breaker, and a lot of that's personal preference and kind of depends on your size. I also changed out the grips. I used the ESI extra chunky grips. Those are just the grips that I like. Again, that's more of a personal preference thing. Second thing I don't like is that dropper post. The race face turbine, I don't know, it has two speeds basically. It's super fast or it's really, really slow. And it all depends on the air pressure. If you've got the air pressure full, then it's gonna rock it up and it can be a bit of a taint blaster. But once that pressure drops down below a certain point, it's just super slow and you have to hold that lever down in order to get that seat up. And that can be frustrating when you're coming up on some technical stuff and you really want that seat up. It also seems to lose air pressure really, really fast. I don't know if that's really normal for dropper posts. This is the only one I've ever owned. I would say about once a week I have to fill it with air. The next thing, that E13 rear hub. Now, I do like the engagement. It's 6 degrees of engagement, 60 points. Really good for technical stuff. But there was a sleeve, axle sleeve, I think is what they called it. That actually broke. And when that broke, it started making quite a racket back there. Well, the replacement part is basically the same as the broken piece, but there's just a little spacer in there to add to it. I still get that same noise that I got with the broken piece, so mechanically it's probably fine, but it is annoying. Finally, that rear suspension is a bit harsh, but the one thing about it is it still works really well. So while it feels a little rough, it keeps the bike planted and it does its job, and you pop out of corners really fast. So I don't know if it's really a problem. I have read a lot of people say that they put a coil on the Jeffsy because it's a very progressive rear suspension, and they say the coil just feels amazing. So at some point I may try to go with the coil. Okay, so let's get to some ratings, and we're gonna start with the appearance. Now, I may be biased because this is my bike, but I give it 5 stars on appearance. I really love my all black paint scheme, but I will say that in the 2018 models, I don't really care for many of the colors. Next up is quality, and I'm gonna go 4 stars here because of the little things that I mentioned earlier, like the saddle, the dropper post, the hubs, and the wheels. Now granted, I know if you spend more money you're gonna get higher quality parts, but I just think some of those smaller things, they could swap out, it wouldn't cost them that much money. But as far as the frame itself, it's obviously pretty strong. I've put it through the ringer, I think, with the bike park days and everything else. I really don't even have like a major scratch on this bike. I know that I've had rocks come up and nail that frame, and I check it and I really don't even see a scratch. So for performance, again, I would go with 5 stars. Now I don't have a ton to compare it to, but I've ridden a lot of other bikes this year. I've ridden YT SB5 Plus, Giant Trance Advanced, Evil, the Calling, Santa Cruz Hightower LT, and I would say the Jeffsy is on par, better than all those bikes. The only one that's maybe a little bit better is that Hightower LT, but it also could have been the greater amount of travel. Maybe I felt that difference. I don't know. Either way, the bottom line is for the price and what you're getting, I wouldn't choose any of those other bikes. I really don't crash that often on this bike. That's kind of weird. Maybe part of that is my conservative riding. Maybe I need to be a little bit more aggressive, but I feel like there's been a lot of cases where I've been really, really close to a crash, and the Jeffsy keeps me rubber side down. So you average these three ratings out and you come up with 4.67 overall out of 5. I think that's a pretty good rating. I mean, I think to get to a perfect 5, you really would have to spend more money just to get the higher quality parts. So overall, after a year, I'm very happy with the Jeffsy. I have not been looking at other bikes at all. I'm not in the market to get another bike, probably for a few more years. Okay, so hopefully that helps you out. A lot of you are probably here because you're interested in the 2019 Jeffsy that's going to be coming out soon. I'm not sure if they're going to be redesigning it or not, but at least you'll know from this that the 2017 model, very good. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you're on the fence about getting the Jeffsy. It's a great bike. Give me a thumbs up if this was helpful and you enjoyed it. Be sure to check out some of my other videos, some of my riding videos, and if you enjoyed them, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next adventure.